Hi everyone, Matt Watson here from CarWow. Now, Chinese car makers have a history of ripping off the designs of other car brands, and while this plagiarism is less common these days, it still happens. But just how blatant is this fakery? Well, here are the CarWow worst ever Chinese copycat cars, past and present. The £23,000 Geely Gie is a cut price copy of a 270 grand Rolls-Royce Phantom. I mean, just look at its grille compared to the Rolls' one below. They're almost identical. Then there's a side profile. It's so similar too. Finally, compare the back ends. I mean, it's just outrageous, isn't it? There is one key difference though. Unlike the Rolls-Royce, which is a two-seater in its poshest form, the Geely has a single throne for its dignitary. I guess if you're going to buy a knockoff, you probably don't have many friends, do you? So you just may as well sit alone. The Zoti SR9 is a pretty convincing copy of the Porsche Macan. Actually, it's almost identical. At the front, the lights, grille and bonnet look exactly the same. At the side, they both have curvy bodies and sloping roof lines. It really is uncanny. It's not such a good copy round the back though, because the SR9's brake lights look more like they came off an old Cayenne. Still, it's not bad when you see that the Zoti SR9 costs just £12,000. That's a quarter of the price of the cheapest Macan. So that's why they do it then. This is the Lifan 320, and it's a cheap copy of a new Mini. Although it doesn't look anywhere near as cool, does it? All the ingredients are there though, but it's like someone screwed up the recipe, especially at the front. The headlights and the grille look like the Minis that are melting. It's actually a smidge shorter than the Mini, but from the side it looks tall and ungainly. And the wheels look tiny too, don't they? It's the same around the back. The brake lights look a bit Mini-ish, but the proportions are all wrong. But what do you expect when it costs less than £7,000? That's 10 grand less than you'll pay for a new Mini. This is a Landwind X7, and this is a first generation Range Rover Evoque. Oh no, wait a sec. I think I've got that the wrong way round. This has got to be the most blatant copy ever. It's got the same headlights as an Evoque at the front. Even the Landwind badge looks like the Range Rover one. At the side, they have the same chunky wheel arches and sloping roof. Round the back, the bumpers are the same too. Even down to the plastic trim above the exhaust, it's almost identical. It's crazy, really. No wonder Land Rover sued Landwind in 2015 for copying its design. Although Land Rover lost that case, surprisingly the Chinese government sided with the Chinese car maker. Who'd have thought, eh? Land Rover finally did win a legal case against Landwind in 2019, but by then you could already buy the second generation Range Rover Evoque, so it kind of was a bit of a hollow victory. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Nope, it's a Shenghu Eagle Carry. Yep, that's actually what this electric Porsche Cayman copy is called. From the front, I reckon it looks a bit like a Ferrari F12, but with a badge that looks suspiciously like it came off a Porsche. The air intakes on the side totally look like the ones off the Cayenne. And the same goes for the brake lights. Shenzhou, I hope I'm saying that correctly, normally makes golf carts, but the Eagle Carry is no slouch. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. That's faster than a standard Cayman, which takes 5.1 seconds to get to 60. Shame the Eagle's top speed is only 70 miles an hour. This is the BAIC BJ80, and it's a £35,000 copy of the £96,000 Mercedes G-Wagon. Sure, they've changed the grille and the headlights a bit, but it looks almost exactly the same from the side. It's even got the door hinges on the outside, just like the G. It's a pretty shameless copy around the back too. Underneath it gets a ladder frame chassis and a solid rear axle with independent front suspension, just like the very latest G-Wagon. One thing is different though compared to the original car, and it's the fact that you can't get this Chinese knockoff with Mercedes' brilliant 4-litre twin-turbo V8. BAIC doesn't just copy German SUVs, they've gone and made their own version of the Jeep Wrangler and called it the BJ40. The front grille is sort of a cross between a Wrangler and an old Grand Cherokee. The side is all Wrangler though. Check out the square wheel arches, the doors, and even the contrasting roof. The back is amazing though. It's actually hard to tell which car is which. Can you? The BJ40 is powered by a 2-litre turbo petrol engine with 218 horsepower, and it has proper 4-wheel drive, so it should be decent off-road. Yet it costs just £15,000, which means it's the same price as a Suzuki Jimny. And you know how much I love those? Click on the pop-out banner up there to see me race a Suzuki Jimny off-road against a Mercedes G-Wagon. It's not just big 4x4s that get copied. The Chinese Aura R1 is a copy of a Honda E and Smart 4 electric cars. The front has two massive round headlights like the Honda E, but the side is much more like the Smart 4. You can even get it with the Smart's two-tone paint job. The back is like the Smart 2, all rounded and bubbly. Just so you know, the Aura's top speed is just 63 miles an hour, but that does help the range. You see, it can apparently do 186 miles between charges. That's a whole lot more than the Honda E's 136 miles and the Smart 4's EQ's 88 miles of range, which seem quite poor by comparison, don't they? The Hautai Bolliger B35 is like a weird mashup of an old Porsche Cayenne and Jaguar F-Pace. The front has that big square grille like a Jag, but at the side, the windows look just like the ones on the Porsche. It's all very similar to the Porsche around the back too. The brake lights especially look like those on the first generation Cayenne. Unlike the Cayenne, the B35 only gets a 1.8 litre petrol engine, so no big V8s here. The Xuanhuan SC-EO looks just like a second generation Lexus RX from the front. The headlights, bumpers, fog lights, the lot, they're all very similar. Round the side, I'm beginning to see bits of BMW creeping in though. Yep. Definitely, they're there, BMW. It's back to total rip-off of an old BMW X3 to be fair. No wonder BMW took Xuanhuan to court when they tried to show the SC-EO at the Frankfurt Motor Show back in 2007. Weirdly, the SC-EO was actually sold in Italy under the not very Italian sounding Martin Motors brand. The Yuxia Ranger X is an angrier looking Chinese copy of the Tesla Model S. The front's got the same big fake grille as the old Model S, and it's got a pretty similar side profile too. The back end though is a little bit more Lexus-y, kind of like they nicked the brake lights off a Lexus LC. However, inside it's back to being all Tesla again. Just check out that massive central touchscreen. However, the Ranger X cannot match the latest Model S's 402 mile range, but it'll still do 286 miles on a single charge, which is more than you get from most electric cars sold in the West. The Yema B11 is a Chinese copy of the electric BMW i3. Okay, so it doesn't have a kidney grille and the front bumper is a little bit different, but just look at it from the side, especially that weird kink in the rear door, it's so similar. And they're really similar at the back too, with the brake lights built into the back boot lid. I mean, it's just uncanny, isn't it? This is the Geely CK, and it's their cut price copy of an old Mercedes C-Class W203. They've absolutely nailed it from the front, with those big rounded headlights, but the absolutely tiny wheels give the game away at the side. It's more convincing once again round the back because it's got the same brake lights as an old C-Class as well. Believe it or not, China actually exported a bunch of these CKs to Cuba, where they were used as rental cars and even police cars. The Waikaroo V7, I think that's how you pronounce it correctly, is a complete rip-off of the VW Up. It looks exactly the same. Even the badge looks like VW's. The front has the same headlights and bumpers as the real Up as well. And the V7's boxy side and tiny overhangs are the same as on the original car. I mean, it's just like they've photocopied it. Even the back gets the same big glass boot lid as the VW Up. And Waikaroo hasn't stopped there. You can get the V7 with a petrol engine or an electric motor, just like the E-Up. Guangzhou hasn't revealed much about its C60, but we know it was designed by someone who really liked the Lamborghini Urus. The pointed front end might not have the Lambo's colourful grille trims, but the headlights and the design of the bonnet ridge are very similar. And those vents on the side look just like the ones on the Urus as well. The copying is a little less obvious around the back, but the sloping roofline is a clear nod to the Urus's coupe-like body style. Despite its name, there is nothing noble about this Xuanhuan Smart 4.2 copy. It looks like a Smart that's had a nose job. I mean, just look at that stretched front end. It looks even more like the Smart 4.2 from the side, especially when you see it in a two-tone paint job, and it's pretty similar around the back too. Weirdly, underneath all that copycat bodywork, the Noble is actually based on an old Suzuki Alto. That means that it has 4 seats. Now, I would want to try to fit in the back of that car. It'd be pretty bad in an accident, wouldn't it? This is the BYD 1, and it borrows quite a lot from other Western crossovers. The front makes me think of a Ford EcoSport with the big grille and angular headlights. The side really reminds me of the first Renault Captur, especially that C-pillar. It's all EcoSport at the back though. I mean look, it's even got the stuck-on spare wheel and the boot lid like the EcoSport. What's a bit weird is why they chose to copy the EcoSport. It's not exactly the prettiest looking SUV now, is it? Oh well, each to their own. This is the Lifan Zhuanglang, and it's a fairly convincing copy of a Ford S-Max. Sure, at the front, its grille is a bit bigger, but those headlights and the bonnet design look exactly the same really. It has all the same creases down the side too, and the roofline is pretty much identical to the Ford's. The same goes for the brake lights, the rear bumper, and even the chrome strip on the boot lid. They all just look the same as on the S-Max. It's crazy that they can get away with that. This is the Channa X70A, and from the front it looks rather like an old Toyota Land Cruiser. Even the badge looks like a weird combination of the Toyota one and a Star Trek logo. Around the side, it's got a strong Land Rover Discovery 4 vibe going on though, especially that rear window and the crease on the back door. They haven't given the X78 a weird asymmetrical boot lid like the Disco though. Maybe that would have been a bit too obvious. The Geely BL is a weird cheapskate copy of the Toyota Mark IV Supra. Well, it definitely is from the rear end anyway. I mean, just check out those brake lights. Things do get a little less fast and furious around the side though, especially with those tiny wheels. At the front, it starts to look a bit more like an old Toyota Paso, and it's what makes you wonder why they just didn't copy the whole of the Supra's design, as that's a much better looking car. The most amazing thing about this copycat car though, is that BL actually stands for Beauty Leopard. What?
Please subscribe to this channel for more videos, and if you click on the deals box to the right, you can see how much you can save on a new car at CarWow. Or click on the video windows below to watch another of my videos.